If you're wanting to build and even sell a multi-million-dollar online coaching business, there's a pretty good chance that you're already working hard. You're already doing plenty of the right things, but there might be some frustration because you're not growing fast enough. You're simply not getting to the end goal. You're not getting the money and you're not feeling the freedom that you want to be able to feel as well, which is why in this episode, I want to share with you the 7 biggest lessons that I've learned from being able to build and sell a multi-million-dollar online coaching business. Because when I look back into it, God, I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of things wrong, and I want you to be able to avoid those mistakes because let's be perfectly honest right now. You're a smart cookie. You're here watching this. You've seen the headline, how I built and sold a multi-million-dollar coaching business, and you're intrigued. You want to be able to do the same thing, and that's amazing. And I want to be able to help you do that because I feel like it can be a lot simpler from the journey that I went through. And it was not that long ago that it became public that I did sell my company, and I've had a lot of people, I've had a lot of followers, I've had a lot of colleagues reach out and ask me, well, how did it happen? What have you learned from this process? And wanting to get insights into it so they can do the exact same thing, which is why I want to share this with you. And also, if we're just meeting for the first time, hi, I'm Chris Dufey. I'm an entrepreneur, an investor, an author, a father to 4 daughters, a health nut, and simply I'm obsessed with wanting to be able to live my best life. And I want to share the insights and simply document what I'm doing so you can get the results, you can live the life that you want. When I was 18 years old, I became a personal trainer. Now, I was really overweight as a kid, and I learned to be able to lose the weight, and I wanted to help others go through that transformation process. I wanted to become a personal trainer so I can help others to be able to get the confidence, to be able to start feeling the way they wanted to feel, because I was in a dark place. I didn't like myself. I did not love myself when it came back to then, and I started to get into it, which is why I wanted to help others go through that transformation. Then I ran a alright personal training business through Sydney, and it was actually nearly 10 years ago today, to actually me recording this, that we found out that my wife was pregnant with our very first daughter. And it was 3 days after that in which I actually found out that I had an opportunity to move from Sydney to Dubai to start a fitness business there, in which I did. I took that opportunity. So when my wife was 6 months pregnant, I left her in Sydney and I got on a plane knowing only one person on the other side, and I slept on a couch for 3 months to get that business up and running. Now, it was a good thing because then I was able to fly back. Lauren, my wife, gave birth to our first daughter, Arlo. Then we all moved to Dubai, and it was not happily ever after, in which my hopes were when we first did that. I burnt out again. I was running a successful personal training business. From the outside in, I was successful. I was charging a premium, I had trainers working for me. I was like doing good money, but I was stuck. I was in what I call the time for money trap. And it's something that simply comes from being in the wrong business model. But also, it was me being out of alignment from what it is that I really wanted to be able to do, the life that I wanted to be able to live as well, which then got me from burnout into starting my first online fitness business in 2014. Now then, that's what brought us to living here in Bali, and sorry if I'm looking a bit wet and shabby right now. I got absolutely drenched in the rain coming here to be able to shoot this for you. But what happened was starting the first fitness business here in Bali in 2014 to then actually being able to fall in love with business. And I had so many trainers and coaches asking me, how did you go from being a PT in Sydney and in Dubai, now living in Bali, doing this online thing? It got me into helping personal trainers be able to live that lifestyle and create that business that I was doing as well, which then formed into Coaches Cartel, which is the company that I just recently sold and is absolutely spectacular, also turning into Fit Pro Association. But then when I really looked back over since selling the company, there were some key lessons. There were some key distinctions in which I've made, which I wish I had. Yeah, do I wish? I think I do. Like, I don't regret it, but the beauty of I went through that journey and I had to forge that path. I had to bleed and suffer and go through what I had to go through to get to here today. And I want to be able to help you shortcut that success. So in no particular order, I want to share with you right now the 7 key principles, the 7 key lessons in which I've been able to gain from building and selling a multi-million-dollar coaching business so you can apply it from today. The very first key lessons is being very conscious and very aware and surrounding yourself with the right people. Now it goes just beyond the right people, but first let's think about the people that you spend the most time with in your life. Your friends, your colleagues, your family. What is the actual input that you're getting from the outside? Because then I also relate this into what is it that you are consuming? What is it from a social media standpoint? What is it from podcasts you're listening to, YouTube videos you're listening to? And being very conscious and ensuring that you're having the right input, the right environment that is going to actually help you become the person that you want to become, but also being able to achieve the things that you're going to need to achieve, well, that you want to achieve at the end of the day. And is that environment, are those people helping you or hindering you? Now, there is some nuances, there are distinctions that need to be made here. Don't surround yourself with people that are just going to be cheerleaders and saying yes to you. You want to be able to have people that are going to push back against you, that are going to get you to be able to evolve and grow and become smarter and say things such as criticisms that are going to help you be able to make better decisions and have a better thinking process through it. But it's remarkable when I go and thinking back, I was like, wow, I could see times of slowing down. I could probably point in my Stripe account when things weren't going the way that I wanted them to, because I was actually surrounding myself with the wrong people and I was consuming the wrong information as well. So one thing that it does become hard is separating yourself, putting some space between yourself with people that might not be best helping you be the person that you need to be able to be as well. Now, I think that specific topic and going into that is an episode just by itself, which if you want me to go into, I'm more than happy to as well. But being conscious and aware with right now, because this episode I want to make really practical. I want you to take some notes down. I want you to, in the comments, actually tell me what is it that you're going to use. Because out of these 7 lessons, I want you to at least walk away with one that you're going to apply with in the next day, in the next week, in this next month. And I'd love for you to put that into the comments as well. Because for me right now, I am very meticulous when it comes to who I want to be able to surround myself with. I don't have tons and tons of friends, but the relationships I do have, I want to have really deep. I want to have deep, meaningful, loving, compassionate relationships, and doing it with the people that I know that we have a best serving each other foundation in there. Because I truly believe that we are mimetic creatures at the end of the day. Rene Girard did some fantastic work. A book I highly recommend is Wanting, which goes into how mimesis, how we are so easily actually influenced by the people around us and by our environment. And that is changing what we want at the end of the day. So you may think right now that you want to achieve goals. You might have a certain income number that you want to be able to hit, a certain lifestyle, a certain look that you want to have, a certain just demeanor or personality that you want to be able to have. And very, very likely that is because of the people around you and what it is you're consuming in your environment to how that's actually influencing you. Now, the second key principle is, and this is a big one, and this is kind of like more of a tactical, practical, really what to use nitty gritty in your business. And that is knowing your numbers meticulously inside of your business. I can pretty much guarantee right now that if you're not growing as fast as you want inside of your business, there is a case that you are not knowing the key performance indicators, your key numbers as to what's going on. Because I am a true believer, and now with me consulting and partnering with businesses and being able to get them to be able to grow, scale, and sell, there is a key element of understanding that what is happening for you that's stopping you. Let's say ceiling right now, there's a ceiling for you growing your business. It's understanding that there is really truly only one constraint right now that is actually the thing stopping you from bursting through to getting to the next level of success, growth, income, whatever it is that you're really looking for. And so the only way you can truly know what that constraint is by knowing your numbers, is by knowing your data. So for example, just yesterday I was having a call with an entrepreneur and they needed some help around their sales process with their coaching business. And so this was literally a part of the conversation that we went through. I was like, okay, do you know how many applications are coming through right now? How many conversations, initial conversations are happening? And then how many of those initial conversations are turning into sales conversations? How many of those are actually turning into sales? From those sales, what is the actual lifetime value? How much do you have cash collection within your first 30 to 90 days with that client? Do you know how much your client is actually worth to you when you bring someone on average? And when you just look at, number one, how many applications or leads are coming through, and then you can even go a step above and go, well, where are those leads and applications coming from? Do you know what you're best doing to actually bring leads in? Or is it kind of like a hodgepodge and you've got a bunch of things out there, but you really don't know what's working at the end of the day, and then drilling down and going, okay, what from one step to the next, how is this engineered to increase the amount throughput so that you're being able to maximize sales, maximize cash collection, maximize your profits, and maximize the results that you're getting with the people that you're serving. And typically when we start to have these conversations, a lot of entrepreneurs don't know their numbers to the actual degree, to the detail that is needed to be able to make the right decisions moving forward. The third key principle really comes down to Scott Adams and his amazing book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. And this just comes to the concept of setting systems and not goals. And this is something I've literally applied to every area of my life as much as possible. And that is getting away from the, okay, I'm just going to set a goal and therefore I'm just going to concentrate on that. I've just come from it from another point of view thanks to this, because for me, it's actually literally creating systems so that things become easier. There is less friction for me to be able to do, or for the actual process needing to be able to get done so that the end outcome can happen. Now, in an upcoming episode, I'm going to actually be sharing with you the key habits that have helped me become a multi-millionaire. But what really comes down to, firstly, is identity, and then it becomes into the actual habits and behaviors and traits and really the skills that you have. But if we drill down into this, for the identity part of things, this is going to come up in an upcoming episode. Let's think of right now as the actual traits and the behaviors and habits that you really have. B-roll over the top. And James Clear put it so well in his book, Atomic Habits. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. Which brings me to the fourth key lesson, which I believe couldn't really happen until the third was in place, but this really comes down to less is more. And for me, maybe it's because I've become a little bit wiser, maybe it's because I've got a little bit of grey coming through in my beard right now, but it really does come down to chasing less rabbits. Because for me literally thinking I could chase multiple rabbits really became down to I was actually catching none of them at the end of the day, which is why I've been able to become much more specific and much more narrowed in, much more lasered in, much more actually directive upon what it is that I want to be able to do, and not trying to do 100 million different things. Because if I have systems in place and I truly know what it is that I want to be able to achieve, I can be very specific into what it is that I'm doing on a day-to-day level that is moving me forward to actually having that happen at the end of the day. Far too often I'm having conversations with other entrepreneurs, and again, I only see this so easily, I feel, because I was stuck in this exact same problem. I was trying to do way too many different things. And that for me is less about trying to get so much done and actually having true mastery into the things that I'm really doing. And again, coming back and using that analogy of if I have one true constraint and focusing my time and attention into solving that and then moving forwards. So there's just become a much more attention-driven process behind what I'm doing, which at the end of the day actually has a lot more ease, a lot more grace, a lot less stress into it, because I'm focused in on what I'm doing, and that opens up so much time and attention. Now, going into the fifth key lesson, there was a lot of people that asked me, why did you sell your company, Chris? And to be honest, it really came down to a phrase that it just kept going over through my head and again. And that was, I want to be more, I don't want to have more. And it was coming to understand that we have seasons, we have chapters in our life, and we evolve as human beings and want to be able to do different things. I want to do more of the things that I'm doing literally right now, being able to share this with you, than what I was doing in the company as well. And I wanted to be able to experience more. But it really came down to an understanding of knowing what you want, and having the time, the attention, the energy, you investing these assets, these currencies, into actually getting down to you knowing what it is that you want. And because then that goes to the next step, which is actually wanting what you want, which is a different episode. And that comes down to really understanding the gratefulness and appreciation of what it is that we have on a day-to-day level, but really understanding right now of, do you know what it is that you want? Are you clear? Like, do you have a clear vision on what it is that you're wanting to be able to achieve? Or is it a bit vague? Is it a bit just dirty watered right now? And you're kind of like, yeah, I think I'm going in that direction. Now, on the caveat and on the other side of the pendulum of this argument is, okay, well, what if you just kind of like completely gave up having these exact goals? Didn't you just say, Chris, I want systems and not goals? Well, yes. And again, there is nuance in this. But for me, and this is my experience, is having a clear direction on what it is that I want to be able to achieve. Then it's being able to create systems so that there's less thinking needed and there's some easier doing on a day-to-day basis to then move forwards to that as well. So if you aren't clear on what it is that you want, and for me, if I've got to be perfectly honest when it comes to this, I only think in 12-month increments. Anything beyond 12 months, I just don't think I can really be accurate as to what it is that I want and who it is that I want to be then. So for me, it's being able to be in the next 12 months, who is it that I want to be? What is it that I want to be able to achieve? What is the work that I want to be able to do? And then being able to reverse engineer that process so it becomes a very easy daily, weekly, monthly, weekly, quarterly, whatever action steps. For a really practical application of this, it comes down to when I'm working with an entrepreneur, just even sitting down and having a conversation with someone, the question that I think a lot of people can get stumbled up on and very much helps getting an entrepreneur aligned with doing the right work, being in the right model, achieving what it is that they want to achieve. And that's the question I actually ask you right now. How much money do you want to earn? Literally, I dare you, put it into the comments right now. What is your yearly income that you want to be able to have? Now, this is literally a question I ask so many entrepreneurs, and I'll ask, how much money do you want to earn? Now, they're going to come up and they're going to say a number right now. And I'm going to go, that's fantastic. Now, typically, I actually ask this question for two reasons. One, I want to see like where their mindset's at, where it is that they're setting right now, because typically the number that just comes out of someone's mouth is going to be a number that they think is the right thing at the end of the day. $1 million, $2 million, $100,000 a year, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But there is a number. So where's your mindset at right now? Because I can ask, okay, let's say you said, I want $1 million, Chris, a year. Okay, fantastic. Why not $2 million? That's going to be the question I'm going to come back. Why not $2 million? Simply to see where's your level of thought process behind your answer right now. Because the next question is why? Why do you want that money right now? Why do you want to be able to earn that amount of money? And so in this example, it then goes through the thinking process, because if you know, hey, I want to be able to earn $1 million a year because it gives me the exact income for me to live the lifestyle and for me to be able to do the things I want to do, to be able to give back to the community. Essentially, fantastic. Now you're getting down to the nitty gritty. You want X amount of dollars so that you can achieve Y at the end of the day. So therefore, we can actually build a business around giving you that exact amount of money. And therefore there's a deep, powerful intrinsic motivation towards actually getting there, because you know that that goal, that income goal, and the business being able to give you that income is going to give you the life and essentially give you the feeling that you want at the end of the day. So you'll be intrinsically more motivated to actually go out and achieve that compared to some arbitrary number that you're just saying because you heard someone else say or you think that's the right thing to say. Now, the sixth key lesson is a big one, but I know you're a smart cookie. I know you're going to be able to pick this up and use this because I did. And that is a case of you taking responsibility for the identity and the labels that you have upon yourself. And it first starts with taking ownership and a knowing of what it is that you can change your identity. Now, I don't have any secret tricks or tips or anything like that to be able to do that quickly. I think it takes some time to be able to do that, and there is a process. I think that goes well beyond the scope of this episode that I actually would love to dive into and be able to share with you. However, it's just starting with, yes, you can change your identity, and you need to be, I think you need to be, and I know needs a strong word, take responsibility for the labels that you put upon yourself. And this really importantly comes down to one key factor, and that is that you know whether you keep promises to yourself. This is important, is you know deep down, you are constantly judging yourself every moment of the day, unconsciously and consciously. And if you're saying, hey, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to follow this diet, or hey, I'm going to go do this thing, any of these and all of these promises that you are making, whether you're saying it to other people or whether you're just saying it to yourself, you know whether you've upheld that promise or you have not. And there is some real power behind you ensuring that you have the discipline and taking responsibility for you keeping your promises and just focusing on keeping those promises to others and yourself as well. That is where self-esteem is being able to get brought up from. That's the self-esteem foundation that you need to be able to work from, because having that as a ground level base to be able to build your identity from will then get you to do the other things that I've been able to say thus far. Which brings me to the last lesson for today's episode. And this is something that just got hammered in time and time again. And that is really understanding that your limited thinking, the ceiling in which you're putting upon yourself, is most likely the factor that is going to stop you getting to the places that you want to be able to go. And this really comes down into the understanding that when it really comes down to it, what it is that you want to be able to achieve, the things that you're doing, the things you say that you want to be able to go and do, those limits are put upon by yourself, and just taking full responsibility of knowing that you want to be able to expand past that. And again, I think there is an expansion and contraction when it comes to this, and it really comes into a knowing and understanding, a surrendering even, when it's knowing of the, well, you know what it is that you want to achieve right now. The life that you have right now is because you have done whatever it is that you have done. You're not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. You've simply gone through it. Reality is what it is, and we can let go of the good and bad stories that we're telling ourselves as well. But it was this knowing of like, oh wow, so literally in the conversation of negotiating for the sale of the business, Josh, the new owner, said at one point, you know, Chris, you could have millions more if you just held on to this for a little bit longer. And it was very interesting because it was a gut check for myself, because I knew that was true, but I also knew why I wanted to sell and move on. But I also knew that there was limits to myself. And it was interesting because when I really look back into the mistakes that I'd made, to the things that I had done wrong, or at least slowed me down throughout that process, it was because of my own limited thinking with it as well. And I want to share that with you because I want to be able to instill faith, a little bit more hope, something for you to be able to think bigger. And that's why I want to share this, because if you think selling a multi-million-dollar business is something completely out of your reign, well then you're true, because whether you think it or whether you're not, that's the thing at the end of the day. So hopefully this is something that's going to be able to help you on your journey. I appreciate you for being here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.